figured I'd come down. I've actually spent quite a bit of time preparing these cases for doing what we're going to do. Um, so we have these repaired by Sean Carr. Thank you, Sean. Um, and powder coated by Glock 37, which is Mike, and he's out in Pennsylvania. So go to opeforum.com and look up Glock 37, GLOCK 37. Or Sean Carr is SRCARR, I think. R2, something like that. Anyway, Sean's not hard to find. So thank you guys for working on these. Let's get this crankcase together. Before we do that, I wanted to, I'll bring you guys up here. So if anybody wants to contact me, they can shoot me an email, and I'll put my email address in the description here, in the live chat. Let's see, are we up here? Don't see me. That's the problem. I can't bring myself up for some reason. Which means you guys can't either. That's not so good. There we go. Found it. So, one thing to show you guys, in case you guys haven't seen, the biggest news in 288s, or probably in chainsaws at this point, is the fact that I am having these 288 top covers reproduced. And the answer is, why blue? Why the heck not? So the original Eliminators were indeed blue. So just to show you guys, here's black, but here's the original Eliminator blue. It's a little bit on the dull side because it's faded, but I think if we can get an Eliminator blue top, or close to it, I think some people will want it, you know? Just thinking. Just kind of what I'm thinking. So doing colors for these different things is really not a problem. But we're going to do black and orange, I think, to start, and kind of go from there and see how they sell, basically. And just so everybody knows, I do have these right now on eBay. You can go check them out. Look up 288 high tops. And yeah, so we got blue, we got orange, got some signed ones. If anybody thinks they're going to be collectible in the future. So if anybody has any questions or comments, they can put them in the live chat. My email is going to be in the live chat here. Matty05@AOL.com. Make sure the picture's good. Looks good on this camera. Good enough anyway. So we're going to do blue. We're going to do black. We already have orange, which looks pretty good. Two-stroke running. How's it going? So I've already done quite a bit of prep work on these. I've chased the bolt holes for the crankcase anyway. What I did, I also put brand new studs, OEM studs, on these, and the most important modification I think is the tank vent. So the oil tank vent by Husky they're a pain in the neck to get. I don't know, they're just hard to find, hard to get. So I used the steel right there, and I'll give you the part number. Steel valve part number 1128 640 9100. 1128 640 9100. These valves go to a 660, and if you just drill out the hole and tap it in, make sure you don't over drill it, but drill out the hole and tap it in, you have a 660 tank vent there, which I have a tendency to think is going to be a lot more robust actually than the Husky. So worst comes to worst, you could JB weld it in or whatever, but I think those are probably more more robust than the Huskies. That's my own very humble opinion. So we'll see how it goes. If anybody has any questions, of course, you put it down in the chat. Let's get some bearings in these. Put a crank in it. See how that goes. So for anybody that's wondering how to use the crank tools, this would be a good video on how to do them and what to do and when. First things first, we got to get the bearings properly positioned in the case halves. Once the case halves are clean, degreased, ready to go. Pretty good. Open. Where's my yellow? Favorite yellow screwdriver. Here we go. 5 people here. Who's here? Thanks to Tyler over on Facebook for a beautiful parts lot the other day. You guys can check out that video of me unboxing that. There's actually more to come. There's a package that's stuck somewhere, but raise your hand. What's going on? For anybody that wants, just take a small screwdriver and pop this. These are shields, not seals. So pop the shields out, and then we'll get these in. So funny. I've been getting some emails lately and some questions and whatnot, and a lot of these guys are just like, okay, I got this saw. What do I do? You know, it needs a carburetor. No. It needs a full teardown. How old is that? Oh yeah. Has it ever had a tear in it? I don't know. Yep. Tear it down. Just tear it down. Don't even think about it. Like, there's no point in being like, yeah, I could use this. No. Tear it down. Probably anything beyond even like 10 years old. Think of a car. Think of all the rubber issues on a car, right? After a certain amount of time, that rubber's shot. And rubber's great, but it does not last forever. You know what I mean? So here we're going to pull the bearings in cold. You can use an arbor press for this, but an arbor press is kind of indiscriminate, and you don't really have the feel that you do with something like this. So this is just 1/2 inch threaded rod. I've shown this a million times elsewhere. This is just how I do it. It's very simple, straightforward. What did I do? This is anti-seize. Was actually, reading a little bit about that and thought it was interesting because I had some people like, oh my God, you're going to spin the bearing. No, you're not. It takes less, there's less pressure on the case if you have a little bit of lube, essentially. Essentially bearing assembly lube. I think even Ferrari does it. They have assembly lube that they actually, when they're pulling bearings into somewhere. That's it. As long as it goes in straight, you can see it going straight, you can feel it, and then you can hear when the sound changes. But now your bearing's in. Hey, I'm live on YouTube, just so you know. Dave? I'll talk to you later. Bye. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so I use a little bit of anti-seize. It just helps the bearing kind of go in just a little bit more smooth. Aside for the moment. So this side half is a little different because you need to put the oiler on there, and what you also need to do, ideally, is tap out the seal. So you take an old oiler, you know, whether it's running or not doesn't really matter. Take an old oiler, and this is just for positioning sake. So you want to put the oiler in with the screws. And on here, you're going to pull against the oiler. These are M4 screws, 3mm head. And 20mm long, by the way. So it's nicely seated all the way around. And now you have a surface to pull the bearing against. Why don't you heat them and drop the bearings in? Are you afraid you're going to bug in the magnesium? No. So it's a great question, and I do them both ways. Right now I'm showing you guys how to do it cold. You can do it hot. However, hot has a few problems. The hot and cold thing always has a few problems. If you put the bearings in the freezer, they can pull in moisture. When you bring them out of the freezer and they're cool against something hot, they pull in moisture, which is not the best. That's one issue. Secondly is, if you have a heat gun, it's going to take you near on forever to heat up the cases. Okay, fine. So there's time. It's also dangerous. Not because you're going to catch the magnesium. You might catch the magnesium on fire. I've never really seen it, but that's not the real problem. The problem is that you're handling something hot. It's also going to take you time, like a lot of time. So here I am showing you guys how to do this cold. There's no danger to the bearings here. Just don't get them in cockeyed, that's all. But I've definitely done them both ways, and I find that, you know, with trying to drop something in hot, sometimes it just doesn't work quite the way you want it to. You get something a little off, and then you're using a press anyway. So you know, you can go stick this on the wood stove for half an hour. Great. Then what are you gonna do? Maybe you got something else to work on. Maybe you don't. Something doesn't go right, then you're frustrated, and believe me, I spent plenty of time. This is just, again, anti-seize. Just helps it go a little smoother. I spent plenty of time with saw halves in the oven. I've done that a lot more than I want to. So what I do now is just basically tap on it gentle. Only on the outer race. You do not want to hit the inner race, obviously. Good. Don't have to use an impact. You can do this by hand too. A number of different ways. You can see it. If you look at it, yeah, it's going a little cockeyed. Okay, pull it back out, tap it to where it's good, and then pull it straight. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Bellhopper's channel. Heated the dang bearings to install the crank. Already galling the bearings, and he heated the dang bearings to install the crank. That looks to me like you're already galling the bearings to start. Like I am or him. He heated the bearings to install the crank. Tell you what, watch how I do it, because I've got my own way. I've got my own tools that I invented to do this that I've been selling for a long time now. So follow, and then we'll have a talk here. Yeah, because I love this topic. I love, like, geez, how can we always do it better? Because there's always a way to do it better. You just don't always know what it is. So I'm going to show you how to do everything here at room temperature with no risk of anything here. The reason you spin bearings is because something else goes wrong. You know what I mean? Assembly tools make pressing bearings went like butter. The tools work. Yep, they do. And they work so well, you giggle every time you use them. At least I do. So I'll show you guys. So again, I just I made sure the bearing was straight, reassembled this, and then I'm just going to pull that home. So now your bearing is in there and it's pulled up against where the oiler is. So again, there's no danger to anything here, as long as you're putting pressure on the whole face of the bearing instead of on the inner race. You do not want pressure on the inner race. Yeah, well, one of the things about heating bearings, and I've done this too, especially with the proprietary bearings that have nylon cages, is it's kind of a problem to heat them. You can indeed damage the bearings. If you heat them up real slow, with a heat gun is a little bit different. But if you're doing it with a torch, again, I've done it. I've done it with a torch, and come to the conclusion that that's kind of a bad idea. You know what I mean? So the first thing, you got to have these bearings properly positioned in the cases. So this is pulled in with the bearing against the oiler, okay? And the oiler is down dry fit with no rubber pieces anywhere in there. We're going to put the rubber pieces in a little while. I mean, maybe, but I may not do that here. But you put the rubber in later, okay? You do one thing at a time. What you don't want to do is put your pants and your underwear on at the same time. It might work, but you might get something stuck, which falls into the category of suboptimal. Right, so there's your bearing installed. Everything's clean, ready to go. Okay. Next thing, now we're going to grab this here. So this is now clean, ready to go. You put the crank in. I'm going to grab just tools off the shelf. This is literally out of the box. This is M12. Take your rod here. Fit it right. Now this is M12 by 1.25, I think, is the thread. And then what you'll want is a sleeve. It's all got to go on loosey-goosey. There's really nothing precision even about this. There doesn't need to be. which is, by the way, my favorite kind of tool. It still works great, even though there's like zero precision. You know, if something's a little off and it doesn't work right. No. How much is my tool, and does it work? Yeah. Does it work on all saws? It does not work on all saws, but certainly most. So what I've got here, this is actually an M12 rod. It's a double ender, and this will work on certain models. So for instance, 394, 395. The other end will work, M12 works on most of the steels from 026 to 660. So sleeve here, and so yeah, once the bearings are in, you just do this. So you've got this, got the sleeve. Let's have this the wrong way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull the crank in to the PTO side, and we're going to do it gentle. Watch. And you can do it midair. Your left hand is free. Your right hand can use a ratchet. The OEM tools don't do that. You have to use an open-ended wrench, which is a pain in the neck. So generally speaking, I will sell a set of crank tools, what I call a main kit. Not the full kit, but the main kit, which will hit about 90% of the saws everybody's rebuilding. 660s, 372s, 026s, 3120s, 346s, 272s, all that stuff. Main kit is $180 shipped. Just shoot me an email if you're interested. That's it. And you can go back and watch me use this kit on all kinds of different stuff. But I'll show you exactly what you get in a main kit. Okay. It's pulled in at room temperature. As long as the bearing is in the right spot, you're good. So the bearing has got to be properly positioned in the crankcase before you do anything. Both bearings are properly positioned. Main kit works on a 270. Okay. So yeah, and they're color coded. I've got these now color coded. Not that I've got a key anywhere for the colors, but it doesn't really matter. That will be available. So yeah, so I've got, that's like an M12, M14, M10. This is a red rod. So you've got a flywheel side rod, M10 and M8 does most flywheels. Not all of them, but most. And then these three, M10, M12, and M14, end up hitting just about everything. You get two sleeves, two of these, big and large, and then two sets of washers and nuts. $180 shipped. It really does just about everything that people need to do. If you want to do some of the odd stuff like 880s, then you need a different sleeve. I've got a sleeve for that. That's another $30. You get the idea. Do I have one from McCulloch? No, I don't, because again, a lot of those aren't the popular ones that people are rebuilding. See, a lot of the Steels and Huskies are the popular ones to rebuild. These might work on the McCullochs. I don't know, but the information for what thread sizes they use for the cranks is not readily available to me. So, and basically because nobody asked for it. Very few people actually ask for that type of stuff, and to make a full kit for that would be kind of crazy. Now, on the other hand, if for whatever reason you figure they're standard, they are not standard. Nothing is standard in this. So, just to give an example, right, 372 is actually M14 by 1.25. Okay, 880 is M14 by 1.0. So this does both. Now, just to screw everybody up, when they went from 372 to 576. They went from M14 by 1.25 to M15 by 1.25. Hey, Mike. So, and steel is not absolved of this. Steel, when they went from 660 to 661, went from M12 by 1 to M13 by 1.0. So, and remember, these are all left-hand thread. Which, by the way, is a pain in the neck to find tabs for. Okay, so let's do the other side. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, Mike here did the powder. So if anybody wants to contact him, they certainly can. Let's do this. Just to double, triple check everything's clean. Hey, Bob. Yeah, I don't know how Google Notifications is working. You should be able to find. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you want to find, I've done this. That's the thing. I've been through the whole thing. These tools aren't even tapped. They're actually thread milled on a $180,000 Mazak CNC. So the taps that you can get if you want a tap for metric M14 by 1.0 left-hand thread, they're going to be 60, 70, 80 bucks just for the tap. Which is why, by the way, it makes sense to buy my tools rather than try to get taps for these darn things. And that's if you can get them. Most often, they're actually Chinese-made taps, which I do get. They're about 20 bucks a piece. They do work, but oftentimes you'll wait 2 weeks for them to show up, and then they show up as right hand. I've got all kinds of right hand taps here that I got a handful of right hand taps that they sent me instead of left hand ones, even though they specified it was left hand. So there are a zillion different traps to trying to do this on your own. I know, because I've done it. Yeah, I've overnighted taps from McMaster Car before, just to get things going, you know, and it's... Ugh. And you can go back and watch the videos. I describe all my frustrations on getting this whole thing together. It was a real pain to put this kit together. But eventually, I found some guys that are fairly local that do a real nice job with the machining. They've got some nice equipment. They do it for a nice price. I should have waited to put these in, but whatever. There. Positioning pins, don't forget that. I like to use Goop. This is 3 Bonds 1184. It is gas and oil resistant. Let's use this side first. Dustin, Blue Cases, refurbished OEM. There are no such thing as aftermarket 288 crankcases yet that I know of. There was talk about it. I don't know if the Chinese are gonna get it done or what, but as of right now, as far as I can tell, they don't exist. So for all intents and purposes, 288 crankcases that are in nice shape are unobtainium. 288 crankcases that are powdered are even more unobtainium. So, good news is I've got 5 here. Actually, no, I've got 6. I got 6 sets. So if anybody wants one, let me know. It ain't going to be cheap, but Morning, William. Husband 3 crank bearing and seals part 2 in the name of Bell Harper video. What's my email? My email should be up in the chat, but Bob, can you throw that up there, please? Throw my contact information up there. Again, clean and degreased and chased threads, preferably. You can use, I know Mike prefers to use Loctite 518 on here, which is anaerobic sealer. I've used it before. Not my preference. Everybody's got their preference. Either way, it needs to be gas and oil resistant. You can't use like Permatex Gray or something like that. It's got to be specifically gas and oil resistant. So now, this is tacked for a quick minute. OEM cases, or OEM gaskets. Natty05 at AOL.com, get rid of the extra ampersands. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Ha! This is 272. Knew something was up. Don't worry, I got plenty of 288s. God, right. Yeah, the 288 one has a brace. I don't even know why, but there's a brace up top here. Kind of gets in the way more than anything. Now that this is tacked, this stays better. You know what I mean? One other thing. Blue Loctite. Yeah, just use 1 ampersand in the email. The reason there's multiple ampersands there is to avoid spam bots. So the spam bots will pick up my email in a live chat, and then I get spam. Wood stove cranking. Yeah, it's not too bad down here. Across the way, really. Ready to go. Let's see. Okay. Need a red rod, this flywheel side, M10. Hopefully these aren't screwed up. One thing I did not do is chase those threads. Ah, this just needs to be deburred. Okay. Which, by the way, I do mention, if you get the tools, you might want to deburr them a little bit. I don't even know if I have an M10 tap. I might. Okay. So that goes in there. So this is actually a large sleeve, okay, which you need to use if you're doing large bearings. And then a small 5/16 rod on the side here. It's just a carriage bolt. Nothing complicated. Bring it all the way in, back it off a little bit. And the 5/8 nut and washer. There we go. I do take PayPal, yep. Shoot me an email and you get a form letter. I can send you a form letter, and yep, PayPal's fine. So you watch this, and the halves just go together. Super crucial though that you get the positioning pins right. Because if you don't, it ain't going to line up. Now, another way you can do it, a lot of the guys do it this way, is they will actually start some screws at this point, some case screws, which you certainly can do. Remember, big bearings, big sleeve. Anything 6202 and smaller, you can use the small sleeve. 6203 and bigger, you're going to use the large sleeve. With the rare exception of the random 064, but you can look that up. I did that recently. If you use the small sleeve on large bearings, you're going to mushroom the sleeve, which is, again, suboptimal. And you, at this point, it's almost done. You can go take a phone call if you want. There's no hurry. These things, there really is not a particular rush on this. And you're going to feel when it stops. That's it. Done. Back it off. Undo the whole thing. The thing about the tools is, once you have them deburred and everything, the whole thing saves you an astronomical amount of time and aggravation, and actually starts to make rebuilding saws a little more feasible. You know what I mean? I think the crank is a little bit, the threads are a little bit tight on the crank itself. Well, if you need to. Let's put some case bolts in. Yep. And 1, 2, 3, 4. These two here, and then this one in the back. One in the back. I tighten it. All these by hand, of course. What you can do at this point, which is usually a good idea, is put the dog on, especially if you've Loctited the front bolts here. Now in a 394, you don't actually want to put the dog on. You want to put the dog on last because it really gets in the way of the muffler. There's a space in there for the bracket for the muffler, so we're going to ignore that. Could put a muffler bracket in there, nothing wrong with that. I got sent a gajillion of those brackets in that parts pile from the other day. Tighten them all down by hand. Bob, this one's for you, of course. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, am I going to start selling toolkit on eBay? Maybe. Maybe. One thing at a time here. Here's the thing. As soon as I start selling it on eBay, I got to up the price. Because eBay takes a percentage. And so, as an announcement, just so everybody knows, I do have a website coming. So, thank you to X Canuck for doing that for me. Very much appreciated. That is on its way. Check that out. Razor blade. Take off the tabs. This is totally Bob's saw right here. Yeah, so the blue tops, the blue saw is to basically highlight the blue tops, which will be on their way one of these days. So, how's that though? That's pretty good, I think. Yeah, pretty good. So yeah, if anybody is interested in tools, they can let me know. If anybody is interested in 288 top covers. So right now, the one thing that really is on eBay and is indeed selling are the 288 high top covers. So I have a huge amount invested in getting these things good. And these are amazingly strong. And the orange ones, this is not perfect. This is not the final iteration, but every time I do an iteration, these are just samples right now. But every time I do an iteration, they will get better. So for right now, like this part is kind of potato chipped in a little bit, but for people that are going to use a dual muffler, they can just grind it out. But otherwise, it fits. The downside, right now we got the potato chipping going on, and then this, what we may do in the future is actually just cover the hole over and not do the hole, just put an indent on the inside so you can see where to drill the hole. Because this side is a little bit pushed out at this point, and it's a little hard to get your finger in to use the decomp. So workaround would be drill the hole larger to put your finger in there. That's one option. Another option is to use a 3120 decomp with a spacer. They come with like this saucer thing underneath them. Use the saucer, use the spacer, and use a 3120 decomp, and then it actually works, and you can just touch it with your finger. How does the blue case match? It's pretty good. The thing with the blue is that this is faded. I think if it wasn't so faded, I think it would be much better. See? So the one downside to this case specifically is that there's a bit of a rub over here on this side, and the thing is, like, you're not going to be able to ground to the case using the usual switch, but there is a workaround. It's actually a pretty cool one. You can actually use on these the momentary switches. So one of those. I have it'd be an interesting workaround on the 540, the T540 top handle. There's a switch, and it'll probably fit here. It just clicks right in. It's got two metal tabs on it. You take one tab and run it, of course, to the usual kill wire, essentially. But the second one you run just to another, like the bolt for the elbow. So right here you can run it to that bolt. Just get a wire and run it there, and you'll be fine. You mentioned a texture, so yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to more of a matte finish. So this is like almost like semi-gloss at this point. We're gonna go to a matte finish on this, which will be very similar to, instead of going to gloss, I think we want to go to matte, and it'll look better. I think the colors will look better. Had a bit of a debate on that, but I tend to think, and the problem is, it's not like you can go back and forth. You can't. When we go to matte finish, that's going to be that. So I'm making an executive decision. It's going to be matte finish, like the original Eliminator covers. So it'll look good. It'll be good. But they're just so fantastically strong. I mean, this is actually glass fiber reinforced. If you listen to an original case or original piece of plastic, listen to the difference. This is reinforced. It says that it is, but it's not. There's no way there's glass fiber reinforcement in that. It's certainly not 30%. Ding, ding, ding. Hey, Alpo. So, website's coming. please go on eBay and buy these things like crazy. The price will go up as we do more iterations, as we get closer to what I would consider a full production thing. Next round of production will be a few hundred of these, and we'll see where we go. So I have to start working on getting my money back here. You guys know what I mean. So there's the blue case. Used a 660 valve here for the oil tank valve instead of the stupid Husky, what is it? It is the sintered bronze or whatever. So what's the price on the toolkit? Yes, you can. I have them in stock. Price on a main kit, does about 90% of the saws out there, is $180 shipped. We can customize the kit for you too, depending on what you need or what you don't need. Just shoot me an email, and then I will send you a form letter back, and then just let me know what you want out of that. But generally, I sell main kits. I do have them in stock currently. I've got a number of them in stock, so good stock there. So let me put this, let's put these down for the moment. If anybody wants the orange case right now, I will sell it. This one will be sold. This is $350 shipped if you guys want it. You cannot buy, you can't buy them. You can't buy them. They are no longer made, and you cannot get aftermarkets. How about steel? Steel gray. So this one we'll do next. But it's going to take me a little bit of time to prep this out. It takes a bit of prep work, really, to do these. All the time, as is, Mike, of course. Wouldn't sell it any other way. Maddie, are you in the second or third sell-through on the toolkits? More like the 15th sell-through. I've got probably 500 toolkits sold worldwide. In Finland, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, all over the place. Found a Mac 1010 new old stock for $250. It sounds like a deal for you, man. If it's new old stock, I'd put that on the shelf, So yeah, I got to do some prep on these cases. It's going to take me a while, so I won't be doing that this morning. Yeah. Questions, comments, anything else, guys? I've got these to go through. I've got the black ones to do. We got those. these for Mike. What's the black? Oh, I know. Here's the black crankcases. So yeah, if anybody wants any of these, they can let me know. Because we got nice cranks going in these things, brand new bearings. Of course, as is for everything, right? White covers. White covers are coming too. So we'll do blue, white, black, and orange, at least for now. Don't know exactly when, but I think initially the initial run is going to be just black and orange, and then eventually we'll do white and blue. It depends on how everything sells. If everything sells out like mad, then we'll get things going quick. If things are slow, then it's slow. If you love hate with working with white cases. I know, it's really gray white. You like the you like the black? Well, I've got 1, 2, 3 black cases here to put together also. So again, some other time I'll come down here and clean these up and get them ready for bearings and cranks, and just keep building them. We're gonna keep going on this and see where it goes. But these tops are really nice, and I hope everybody buys them because I kind of need everybody to buy them. Okay. Questions, otherwise, comments, anything else? You do black with an orange top if you want. Yep, sure. Just think, Bob, we got all kinds of fun stuff here. I got more cases here. Mike did all these up. Save Maddie's savings account. Yeah, something like that. Not just my savings account. How about my life savings account? Building those tops was very expensive. So I'm in deep trouble if you guys don't buy them. Oh God. So yeah, we're gonna keep the teas going. I'll get these cleaned up one of these days, and then we'll get them together, and no big deal. Thanks, guys. All right, it's time for me to go. I will catch you guys later, but I'll work on getting these and then put them together, and we're gonna have a good time. So thanks to Mike, thanks to Bob, thanks to Sean for working on these. Do appreciate it, and we will catch you guys some other time. Take care. Later, guys.